Oi, stop eating my fucking trees. No. No.
Cause we are all together and it's Christmas.
Hi guys, it's a year roundup time and it's been a strange old year for me. Started out super, normal, but as time went on, I got less and less interested in pocket knives, which has sort of been a bit of an existential crisis for the channel. Really, it's as well as a large sort of I've turned 35, starting to feel a little bit not super young anymore. I know I'm still I'm not a grandpa or anything like that. It's fine, but you get your first you start thinning out on top. You get a few grey hairs, all that sort of stuff. It's been a bit of a year for me. It's been a year. It's been a great year, but it's been a year of change in personal growth and development. So, well, there's still knives here, but there's going to be some other stuff here as well. So it should just be a nice little talk video, nice little talk video. So, well, I'm just going to go through a list of my favorite stuff and probably a couple of dishonorable mentions for some bad stuff that's been bad that I hate. So, let's strap in and get into it. So we're going to start off with a knife that I've been meaning to review for a while now. I owe this knife a review, and it will still come. But this guy here, every time I pick up a piece of wood to do field craft review of the Folklore, which is Gary Creeley's bushcraft blade, I just find myself unable to do it justice. I've been using this so much as a block blade, as just, opening, cutting, digging, gouging, slashing stuff open, using it on trees, using it on bags of which, what, and that, and other woods, and, everything, which, what, and that, and other woods, all sorts, but I haven't actually sat down and done that much kind of firecraft with it. And the firecraft I did do, it was just kind of like practical, so I wasn't capturing it on camera. Life of a gear reviewer, having to stop and get the camera every time you use your knife. Not fun. So I'll sit down and I'll be trying to, let's make a feather stick for the video, and it'll start chipping off, and it'll just be embarrassing, and you're just like, I wish I could just outsource some wise old learned bushcrafter to do this for me. Oh, Uncle Randy.
You look like you're having a little bit of trouble there, son.
Well, yeah, I'm actually looking for some help with this. I'm not very good at bushcraft. It's a bushcraft knife, and yeah, if you wouldn't mind lending me your expertise, then I would be very keen on sharing this spotlight with you.
Well, the way I reckon it is, we each got our own sets of skills, don't we, the different generations? So y'all are able to use the internet without giving all your money to a Nigerian prince, and at my age, you're pretty good at whittling wood. So I reckon you just lend me the knife, and I'll make short work of this here video part where you're looking to film about how the knife affects seasoned wood. So I'll just pass it over here, and we'll get started. Well, thank you there. It's that's a fairly nice feeling handle. Let's see how it goes against a bit of the old seasoned pine that I was keeping back to shop. Pull up a pew to the Church of Randy and let Father show you a little something about wood carving. So we're going to start by making a few preliminary cuts. And I think we are about completed. Alrighty, let's have a bit of a closer look at it, shall we? Alrighty, so it ain't gonna be my best work. It's a little on the rough side. It's not every day. I ain't using my Buck 110 for carving. It's a slight adaptation to the Eurovision grind, or whatever it's called. But that being said, it managed to do some decent carving work. So I reckon I can get a tune out of this. Now, it's again, these old skills, they got a bit of rust on them, but it's a bit like ice skating or figure skating when I used to do that. You have a couple of months off, and it takes you a little bit of time to get back on the skates or on the bicycle. So yeah, I reckon I can carry a tune out of this. Why don't y'all y'all go and do one of your demonstrations where you cut some things and you show the knife being used, and I might partake in some background music. What do you reckon there? Let's get to it.
Oh, I mean, that's not necessary. Usually I put in some video game music or something, but if you, I mean,
Bear with me.
it should be fine. I think the people are used to what I, usually put in the tracks and. Okay, that's that then. Anything else from you, Uncle Randy, today?
If we all just exchange our ideas rather than shout them at each other and demean each other with silly jokes and memes that you're all making on your phones these days, I reckon there's a real chance of learning something and making each of our lives a whole lot better. For example, you can tell me about how your companies are 3D printing the steels into the knives and making the handles out of spaceships and whatnot, and I'll tell you a few things that I know as well, things that you may not have even heard about. For example, did you know there's a war on Christmas? Did you know that there's a school where one of the kids got suspended for decorating a Christmas tree? Did you know that there's a whole bunch of people right now that are looking to make it so you ain't allowed to say Merry Christmas, you have to say Merry Xmas? And there's a bunch of people out there as well that are trying to make it so if you go to school and you wear a cross, then you're going to get sent to retrain.
Alrighty, Merry Christmas indeed. Yes, very good. My viewers can all hear that from their own cantankerous grandpas. Some of them might even be the cantankerous grandmas and grandpas, who knows. Alright, back to it. A folding knife I've been enjoying this year is the Russ. This is a knife was designed by an Australian fellow, which is sort of how I got onto it. Fellow Aussies, we stick together. It's of course outsourced and made in China by Best Tech, but it's designed by, he's had a bit of an Instagram presence before, and I always used to like his old page, which was like a funny knife news page, and Kane Granville has pulled out a pretty nice, pretty classic sort of fancy tactical knife design here with the Russ. I particularly like the open pivot and the open, backspacer frame assembly type hardware. I really like the hollow grind. That's how you get me. That's how you impress me with a knife, is put a nice hollow grind on your knife. This flat grind business where I think, was it Nut and Fancy convinced everyone that flat grind was the best grind about 10 years ago, and we all believe got hooked on them. Hollow grinds, man, they cut the best. It's where it's at. For a pocket knife like this, anyway. I mean, maybe a tall flat ground kitchen knife, whatever, but a little blade like this, it's always going to be a little blade. If it's under 5 inches, it's still like a little blade in regards to, what is commonly a blade. And putting a hollow grind on it is always a great idea. You might not want to cut down a tree with a hollow grind, but any other use, I always find it's my favorite. It's a really nice hollow grind, M390. Held an edge really well. I haven't sharpened it yet. It's still cutting really good. I've been using it for about a month now since it arrived from Kane. I'm still in the process of making a proper review on it, but it's a great one. It's one of my favorites during the year and so far. It's just nice to have something nice again. I've had lots of I've had lots of knives like my next entry, so let's have a look at that one. So this guy here, really enjoyed my time with the Lander. Lander's a good fun knife. This is really like ultra accessible, and this really does, it's iteration in its purest form. Ben has gone and used his knife selling and designing experience and made something that basically does what the Rat 2 D2 does, but far better. So it's the action and all of the things about it are just as good as the Rat 2. The blades approximately, similar performance wise, and everything about similar, the G10 handles. Well, this is G10, I believe. The Rat 2 is a nylon, but at any rate, not a huge amount of exotic material differences, very few in fact, but this guy here has a much more neutral handle. I always found the Rat 2 shrinking down a larger handle like the Rat 2 did, always sort of leave something wanting for design. It's an easy way of doing a design rather than a thoughtful way of doing a design. So Ben's gone and just made a nice swooshy basic handle that basically any hand will hold just fine. And then the coolest thing about this knife is the ease of swapping out scales. So you just need to pop off the 2 scale screws and you can swap off with the many scales that are most likely going to exist for this knife sort of by middle next year. I've got no doubt. You look at what's happening with the Banter scales, it'll be about the same thing, I'm sure. So this stuff here is really, really cool. These NAFs Landers, basic, it's D2. It's definitely not this, but it's a good bit of good clean fun. So like the Lander this year as well. Honorable mention to the DBK Bushcrafter as well. Really did a lot of work for me until the Crilly one came along. Convex grind, LMAX, just super expensive. A bit more of a perhaps collector's piece or something like that, made by TRC. Great knife, but I've I've found myself leaning more towards this. I don't know why, just this year, but this is also great. All right, so what else have I been doing? My favorite torch this year was the Olight Arcfell, just because it's a bit different, something that actually quite memorable to me. It's got a laser and a light in it, so it's been good fun to play with. The light's just your basic sort of floody, close contact kind of LED beam, just good for getting around the perimeter of your house or whatever. It's not obviously a search and rescue light or anything like that. It's quite diminutive really compared to some other lights out there, but the laser pointer really makes it fun as well. Play with the cats and whatnot. So like the flat form factor as well, goes into the pocket about as good as like a knife does kind of thing. So there's some smaller, more tubular lights that might be a bit more compact for you, but I generally like a lot about what they're doing here. Rechargeable clip-on charger, all that sort of stuff's always good. The Olight charging infrastructure, it definitely fits in with the Olight expanded universe of torches, so really enjoyed the Arcfield this year as well. Haberdashery wise, this is haberdashery. I've got this bag, also needing a review. Geez, I'm just, it's just hard. It's just been hard lately. But this is a nutsack, and this is like the nylon version of their sort of more conventional sort of mag satch. It's a different part in there. But this has been sort of my going for a day trip somewhere bag lately, where you just load it up with like books, and when I got here some Bushman's insect repellent, your headphones, your extra bits of charging cables and whatnot. It's just been a nice little shoulder bag to carry. It's still got a leather base, so it's got that ruggedness for putting down and bumping around and whatnot. Just thoughtful designs like magnets in the flap there to keep it shut. It's got the super cool tactical back pocket if you want to quiet carry a gun in the back or something like that, if that's socially acceptable in your part of the world, whatever. But yeah, everything's, the hardware as with nutsacks, always good. It's always like steely hardware, nothing plastic and crappy. Steel, leather, and this pretty nice like high denier nylon type fabric there. Really nice bag. Full review to follow. They sent this one to me, so full disclosure, but it's just a flat out nice bag. They must have really liked the review I did on the last one that I did. I never understand these companies, but I will get a review out on that soon, because there's a lot inside of it and it's nice to see. It's nice to see a bag broken down. At least that's what I like to see. I've been reading a bit. I think I did a video on this a while back. Been reading sort of philosophy and stoicism. This is a book about, this is like some translations from Seneca, who was all about sort of how to die and knowing, preparing yourself for death. and all that sort of thing. A bit of a bent I went on this year, and it's actually led from this into just proper like reading and listening about history and things like that. So it's been sort of good for my upstairs development too. So stuff like this, stuff about Stoicism, stuff about Epicureanism, which I identify with probably mostly out of all these old philosophies. Really interesting people, these old ancient Greeks and Romans and whatnot. But this book here, it's pretty, it seems pretty heavy, but it's actually quite uplifting when you actually think about what he's trying to say. He's basically how to free yourself and live your best life by accepting that eventually it all sort of goes away, and you just don't worry about it because you won't be there to worry about it, kind of thing. Jeez, I'm butchering Seneca. Didn't think you'd get that in this review, did you? So what else is happening this year? Well, it's definitely been the year of the hat. This is my most recent Akubra. This is the Capricorn. I wanted a wicker hat, or a non-felt hat, because they are a bit cooler to work around during the day, and it keeps your old bonts a bit cooler, the wicker there, and it's been enjoyable having this one as well. This one of all of my hats, and this is including the pastoralist, this is the one that I'm most embarrassed to wear out, because this is like your classic nerdy fedora. And, so this is just a really good around the block hat. I actually found myself wearing the pastoralist out and about and not being too bashful about it either. And even in fact, out of my 3 Akubras now, like the 3 ones I've got in current circulation, the other one being the Riverina, a bit of a large hat. The pastoralist is actually the one that I feel like it matches me the best. And so actually, if I'm going to go and wear an outside hat outside amongst the public, that's the one I've been wearing. So yeah, I'm taking it back. From the Pilgrims, the pastoralist is the hat. But love these Akubras. I feel like they're pretty good value. Like, you get a hat that's going to last forever. Like, I've got a hat here that's from my old grandpa. He died 10 years ago, so it's at least probably 30 years old, and it's an Akubra. And it's just in perfect condition still. Like, and my kids wear it, even though he was a small man, so I think even their heads are getting big for it. But yeah, it's really cool. Like, these Akubras, they last forever as long as you care for them. And I just think, like, this was like half a knife. This is like $100 hat. Even my pastoralists, they're about $190, and my Riverina was about 220. This is all Australian bucks. So it feels like a bit, but then, and this is my whole thing with knives. When I think about what I've been spending on knives, and it all just seems like it's, at least equal value, maybe even better. I don't know, maybe even better. It's, it is what it is. It's what I'm enjoying. In terms of multimedia-wise, 2 games I've loved the most this year was Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the Switch. That was fantastic. And most recently, Vampire Survivors. What a fun little game Vampire Survivors is. It's simple, but it's so Moorish, arcadey, good fun. Costs you like $7 on Steam, or, it's just... Play Vampire Survivors. You play it for like just 15-20 minutes at a time, just run one cycle. It's just great. It's like Hades last year was this sort of same kind of spirit of game, like where you just kind of pick it up, play a bit, put it down, walk off. Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that was pretty all encompassing. So yeah, that was something else entirely, but also good fun. Music wise, I've really got into an artist called Spelling this year. She's got 3 L's in the name. I really kind of moved in towards arty pop, which is a direction I was surprised that I went in actually. But you know what, you get into it, and just sort of, you go down a bit of a rabbit hole. And I was still listening to all the things. I liked the new Mars of Ultra album as well this year. That was good too. It's warmed on me a lot since I've been listening to it as well. Otherwise, my bands that I like are still Future Islands, the Arcade Fire, things like that. So at any rate, that's music. What else is there? Oh, I've become a bit of a brand slut for Yeti this year. Like, it's a bit, I know, right? Like, are they overpriced? Yeah, probably. But this stuff's so bloody nice. It all started with the dogs. And we wanted to get him a good outside dog bowl, because outside dog bowls, they usually, you get one that's from a pet store, they just have that thin rubber, and the dogs just take that shit off. And then you end up with this like shovey sound of your dog, just this sound like this all day of your dog's nosing its bowl around. So we wanted to get him good buy once, cry once dog bowls. And we got them these Yeti bowls. And they are great. Like they've been sitting outside, half the time they're full of like dead rotting leaves, you know, because they've got their outside bowls that are kind of always outside, and they've got the smaller inside outside bowls that come in and out with them. And no rust, you can throw them in the dishwasher, they've got rubbery bases. So that's what kind of got us into it. And then I got into the drink bottles, and then you get into the stubby holders, and then you get into the coffee cups, and it's just, yeah, and this is it. This is like, I have the money for a knife, and there's just been so many other like little interests that I've been happy to diverge into. So my Yeti stuff's been, it's just all pretty good. I see a lot of it around. This is probably the most basic dude shit ever to say, but I like this stuff that this brand makes. Yeti, clean canteen, also good. You know, vacuum seal drink bottles. We're not reinventing the wheel, are we? But just in terms of their mouth designs, I like that a lot. Kids like the straw design. And some of them get it right, some of them don't. And this end of the bottles are always really good with Yetis. So there we are. Dishonorable mentions. Okay, so this particular bit of equipment can get fucked. This Ryobi weed sprayer. I did a video a while ago. Battery powered weed sprayers are a revelation. If you need to nuke a good swathe of land with either weed spray, or you know what, if you need to spray some like diluted fertilizer on a swathe of land as well, then great. But this is the third one I've had in about a year. They just keep shitting themselves. They're not sealed properly. And even when you back flush them and you flush them out with water after you've used them to stop all the stuff from really settling in it, they just go. It starts off, the spring and the button just goes. It stops springing back. So for a while I had to hold my finger on it while I was using it, which was annoying. And then eventually they just stop, and I unscrew them, I open them up, and they're just full of just like, they rust out from the middle. They do. I know lots of fertilizers and pesticides are high in sort of, corrosive materials, but this is not good enough. And I'm not even I went to try, because I wanted to keep my battery system, when you've got the same batteries for everything. So I went to the hardware store to try and buy another one yesterday, and they were like, no, these are on special order now. So I think they might have they've probably got so many returns of these that they're probably phasing them out or redesigning them or something, because it sucks. So don't buy this. I'm gonna do a full video on my new sprayer I've just got as well, once I've used it a bit longer, but it seems much, much better. So that's that. And finally, we can't talk shitty gear without talking about the Gerber Stakeout. What a stupid tool this was. I had 2 shitty multi-tools from Gerber. I think the other one might have even been last year. But Gerber just seems to just make a thing for the sake of making a thing, to sell the thing. This one, they hinged it on having a tent stake puller, which was not a problem. I was aware that people really had to pull tent stakes out. I mean, it does pull a tent stake out, but so does another tent stake or a stick or anything else, or a multi-tool or a finger, maybe a fingers, maybe that's what they're trying to say. But there's many other slightly bent appendages that are made of other things than flesh around a campsite without having to make a whole multi-tool about it. And as is true Gerber, everything else about it's just poorly made and assembled, and all the things are all these things in here are like nail busters to get out. And the knife's actually probably the most okayest thing about it, because it came sharp. It's obviously made of 1 CR, -1 MOV, but there you go. But yeah, this thing sucked. Probably even more so than the other pry tool, which I had, that also sucks from Gerber.
What a shitty piece of fuck. Ow!
So I always say about Gerber, until you divide your brand and make your American stuff called something else, or your more economical stuff called something else, your brand's always going to be looked at as dirty and everyone's going to make fun of it. But that's obviously something they're okay with after that big Walmart, Target, level of normie cash. So whatever, but it's always frustrating because Gerber has some great stuff coming out of their American factory, and you get things like this that are just peppered, just buckshotted through the range that just kind of muddy the waters. So anyway, that's my year in review, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope that it's been enjoyable to see my face on your screen once again. Let's do a montage perhaps of the dogs growing up over the year, because that's really been the best thing of this year. My two pups, Alan and Hilda. Ada died at the start of the year, so that was sad. So started the year with a sad, and then ending the year with a happy. That's they're very fun, great dogs, good puppies, well trained. Well, we've got them trained the way we like them. So they're threshold trained, and they're good outside. 70% outdoor or 30% indoor dogs, and that's how we like it. So here's Alan and Hilda. Hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you all in the next year and the next video. Goodbye.